what they think you feel versus what you actually feel. So we're going to do this slightly differently today. We're always looking at their feelings. Let's see what they think that you feel. So they might believe that they read you like a book, but have they really understood your heart? Let's have a look. Spirit, the person that the viewer is thinking of, what does that person believe the viewer feels? We've got the Hanged Man and versus what you do actually feel. Let's have a look. What do you actually feel? For the viewer, what does the viewer actually feel? We have got the Page of Pentacles. So clearly this story is not going to be for everybody. So please always listen to your own intuition as to whether this reading is for you. If you do want your own private reading, then there is a link in my bio to same-day readings that are turned within 24 hours. Or I do have a special on this upcoming 7/7 portal. But for whomever this does resonate with, it feels like they believe that you're caught in emotional stillness, maybe waiting and watching, even self-sacrificing for them. So the image of devotion or pause. But in truth, you're already in motion, quietly building your own foundation. So they see you as suspended, and you know that you've simply rerouted, and now your energy is focused on something far more solid and self-fulfilling. To them, they might believe that you're in limbo, caught or suspended or waiting. But this particular version of the Hanged Man tells a very different story entirely. We can see that it's actually, we should call it the Hanged Woman. And she's not passive, she's extremely fierce. Let me bring this to you. Can you see that her body is almost as if it is entwined with the tree, not trapped by it, but fused with it? So she's become one with nature, like a living sentinel that is rooted in ancient wisdom. And this is not stagnation, it feels like sacred stillness. The other thing that's really interesting about this particular card is this massive crescent moon that is wrapped around her head, and it's no small detail. And this is intuitive power magnified. So the moon is often linked to cycles and emotions and deep inner knowing. And here it really becomes a crown of insight. It's almost as large as her torso, suggesting that her emotional body is fully aligned with her higher self. She has what looks to me like a blow dart here in her hands, and it's subtle but powerful. So again, you're not idle, you're poised, ready and selective about what or who is worth your energy. So they see you as paused, but this is a warrior's meditation, and you're not waiting, you're watching, quietly reclaiming your power. Moving on to the Page of Pentacles as to what you actually feel. And this card is quite quiet, but actually it speaks volumes. And you can see that you are focused. Can you see that focus right there? Not on them, but on this bright golden coin that you're holding in your hands. And while the Page of Pentacles can sometimes suggest a very slow or youthful energy, here it feels sovereign. I always like to look at the direction in which the figure is looking, and it looks like you've turned away from the viewer, as it were, and perhaps even from the connection, and this really suggests that your gaze is set on something else. And this coin that we're seeing here, this does not just only represent money or opportunity, it feels like purpose, a new seed of abundance that you've chosen to plant, and it almost, in this particular deck, almost glows like the sun. And this tells us that you're nourishing your own path. So they think that you're waiting for them to return, but actually you've already begun your own quiet departure, not loudly, not bitterly, but steadily. And you are devoting yourself to your own magic now and building something that no one can take away from you. And this is the card of someone who's really learned that self-worth and self-focus are the true currency and that you are investing wisely. Let's pull another card for each. What do they think? They think you're stuck with the Eight of Swords. And what do you really think? Well, you think it's the Wheel of Fortune. These are such interesting cards, and I'm going to take a moment to talk about who this person feels like. So the person who thinks you're in this stuck position is someone who felt once very powerful in this connection, someone who maybe distanced themselves or withheld clarity or even assumed that you'd always be there. And their ego actually feels like it might be clinging to an outdated narrative where they are the one that you orbit around. And it's very possible that they have not been paying attention to your evolution, so they remember a version of you who was emotionally invested and waiting and overthinking and hoping. And because they haven't grown out of that memory, or maybe because it comforts them to think that you're still there, they believe that you're stuck. So with these two cards, they see you as suspended and suffering. So both cards that really reinforce that belief. So the Hanged Man makes them think that you're in limbo, caught in a moment of emotional surrender and frozen in reflection. But paired with this Eight of Swords, their fantasy becomes clearer. They believe that you're trapped, not just still, but mentally bound or lost in overthinking or unable to move forward. So the Eight of Swords often represents a prison for one's own mind, and from their viewpoint, they believe that you're stuck, thinking about them and blocking yourself from new love and still emotionally beholden. But again, they're projecting, and this is likely how they feel but can't admit, and so they place it on you. This reading is 100% not for everyone. Now, as far as what do you really feel, in contrast, your energy is actually in motion. So while the Page of Pentacles is often quiet and inward, it is a card of building. So you're focused on your own purpose and your stability and your self-worth, and not because of them, but actually in spite of them. And then we have this Wheel of Fortune, and this shows us that you're in this very active cycle of transformation, and you're not one that is resisting. So it feels like you're collaborating with fate now. You're trusting the turns of the wheel, and this really might show up as new opportunities, fresh inspiration, or even a deepening connection with spirit and your own path. So where they think you're paralyzed, you're actually in co-creation mode with the universe. You're aligning with divine timing, and they are no longer at the center of your world. So it feels that they think that you're stuck in your head and trapped in grief and hung up on them, while actually you're quietly pivoting and growing and co-authoring a whole new chapter. So their assumption is rooted in the past, and your truth is rooted in the present, and we can see that the future is going to be calling. Once again, I invite you, if you would like your own private reading, there is a link within my bio to numerous readings that are available. As mentioned, we do have the upcoming 7/7 Gateway Divine Union portal and same-day readings that are turned around within 24 hours. For those of you that have ever been curious about learning tarot, I do have a beginner's and an intermediate tarot class. These are both online and can be done in your own time, and upon completion, you have the opportunity to receive certification. Also, as a quick mention, I do have an actual secondary account on TikTok. It is non-tarot and very much talks about the path of a priestess, the living oracle, and specific relationships such as twin flame and twin soul. So that might be very interesting to those of you that are on that path. And I will add the link to my description.